So, my name is Alok S. Jha, and today I'm going to tell you something about history optional, and I would be discussing one small topic related to paper 1 of your history optional. Fine. See, in your history optional, we have two areas in paper 1, and then in paper 2 also two major areas and one small area. In paper 1 you have ancient and medieval, and in paper 2 you have modern and you have world history, and then one more area you have, it is development after independence. Fine. And today I am going to discuss one very small area of your paper 1, and we are calling it Mauryan Empire, right? So we are calling this topic as Mauryan Empire. Fine. So we are going to discuss nature and structure of Mauryan Empire. Nature and structure of Mauryan Empire. Fine. It's a small topic related to पेपर 1. ठीक है, तो मैंने बताया आपको कि हमारे हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल के सिलेबस में दो पेपर हैं, आप सबको पता होगा, फिर भी पहला जो पेपर है उसमें एंशिएंट इंडिया पार्ट 1 है और मिडिवल इंडिया पार्ट 2 है. ठीक, पेपर 1 के दो पार्ट हो गए. एंड देन इन पेपर 2 ऑल्सो वी हैव टू मेजर पार्ट. पहला पार्ट मॉडर्न इंडिया का है और दूसरा पार्ट वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री का है. लेकिन पहले पार्ट में मॉडर्न इंडिया के साथ 1947 के बाद का भी कुछ डेवलपमेंट है, राइट? So we are calling it post-independence development, and it contains like mainly Nehru era, mainly. Fine, ठीक. और आज हम आपके पेपर 1 से रिलेटेड एक इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक पे बात करेंगे. We are calling it the nature and structure of Mauryan Empire. Fine. आप सब मौर्यन एम्पायर से परिचित होंगे, इसलिए मैंने ये टॉपिक चुना ताकि आप समझ सके, राइट? प्रोबेबली यू हैव आइडिया रिलेटेड टू मौर्यन एम्पायर. यू नो, इन एंशिएंट इंडिया दिस टॉपिक और दिस एरिया इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट एरिया है एंशिएंट इंडिया के लिए. जस्ट ट्राई टू सी व्हाट ऑल वी हैव टू प्रिपेयर इन एंशिएंट इंडिया. See, in ancient India, we start our journey from sources, then we discuss prehistory, then we discuss proto-history, and after that we enter into Vedic period. And after Vedic period, we deal with age of Mahajanpadas. And then after Mahajanpadas, we have Mauryan period. And after Mauryan period, we have post-Mauryan period. And then after post-Mauryan period, we have Guptas, and after Gupta we have post-Gupta. Fine. Just I wanted to give you an idea what we call ancient India for your right optional. Fine. So for your optional, we deal with what? First, we will start with sources, prehistory, proto-history, and I hope you all know that one representative of proto-history is इंडस वैली सिविलाइजेशन और हड़प्पन कल्चर। तो जनरली हम एंशिएंट इंडिया में इसी तरीके से काम करते हैं। पहले सोर्सेस कवर करते हैं, फिर प्री हिस्ट्री, फिर प्रोटो हिस्ट्री, फिर वैदिक, फिर महाजनपद, और इसी एज में हम बुद्धिज्म और जैनिज्म की भी बात करते हैं, फिर मौर्य की बात करते हैं, फिर पोस्ट मौर्य की बात करते हैं, गुप्ता की बात करते हैं और पोस्ट गुप्ता की बात करते हैं। ठीक है, हमेशा याद रखना है कि एंशिएंट इंडिया में पेपर 1 में जो कोर है, जो मेन है, वो है मौर्यन पीरियड। हमारी जो यात्रा होगी, जर्नी होगी, हम यहां से यहां पहुंचेंगे और फिर आगे वाले टॉपिक को यहां से कंपेयर करते हुए यहां पहुंचेंगे। मेरी बात समझ रहे हैं? मौर्यन पीरियड प्राचीन भारत का एक आधार होता है, बेस होता है। क्यों बेस होता है? क्योंकि शायद मौर्यन पीरियड में हमारे पास सिस्टमेटिक हिस्ट्री है, हमारे पास लिटरेचर है, आर्कियोलॉजी है, कॉइन्स है, फॉरेन ट्रैवलर्स अकाउंट है, तो हमारे पास सफिशिएंट सोर्स है टू कंस्ट्रक्ट द हिस्ट्री ऑफ मौर्यन पीरियड। इसलिए मौर्यन पीरियड को हम बहुत प्रायोरिटी देते हैं, जान समझते हैं प्राचीन भारत के लिए। ठीक है, और आज मैं इसी मौर्यन पीरियड का एक टॉपिक आपके साथ डिस्कस करूंगा, ये बताने के लिए कि हम हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल में कैसे पढ़ते हैं, कैसे तैयार करते हैं उस टॉपिक को। यहां तक ठीक है? जस्ट एक आइडिया दिया आपको कि जिनको नहीं पता है कि क्या हम एंशिएंट इंडिया में करते हैं, कैसे करते हैं, तो एक आइडिया आपको लगे। तो ठीक है, हम लोग इस टॉपिक की बात करें तो हम लोग जिस टॉपिक पे बात करेंगे वो है मौर्यन स्टेट के बारे में, एंड वी वुड बी डिस्कसिंग two important dimension of this Mauryan state. Right, first dimension would be structure, and the second dimension would be what is called nature of Mauryan state. Nature of Mauryan state, structure and nature of Mauryan state. It's a very important topic for our history optional, because they ask question related to Mauryan, administration, its structure, and you can say, the nature. They have asked question, discuss or examine the nature of Mauryan state. They have already asked this kind of question. ठीक, देखो, जब हम मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की तैयारी करते हैं फॉर जनरल स्टडीज, सो वी ओनली प्रिपेयर द फीचर्स ऑफ मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, जनरली द स्ट्रक्चर पार्ट। वी जनरली डोंट डिस्कस द नेचर पार्ट। है कि नहीं? आप लोगों में से जिनको पता होगा हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल के बारे में, उनको पता है कि जनरल स्टडीज से ज्यादा क्या करते हैं हम हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल में। जनरल स्टडीज से ज्यादा ये करते हैं कि इस स्ट्रक्चर पर हिस्टोरियन की क्या राय है, हाउ दे परसीव, हाउ दे एक्चुअली कंसेप्चुअलाइज मौर्यन स्टेट। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, देर इज ए डिबेट एमंग हिस्टोरियन दैट वेदर Mauryan state was a centralized state or not. Centralized state or not. Do you know this? जानते हैं आप? हिस्टोरियन के बीच में एक डिबेट है कि मौर्यन स्टेट को सेंट्रलाइज्ड स्टेट कहनी है या हम इसे सेंट्रलाइज्ड स्टेट नहीं कह सकते। सो देयर इज ए डिबेट, and as a optional student we should be familiar with this debate. हम उस डिबेट से परिचित हों, ये बिल्कुल आवश्यक है। फाइन, सो देयर इज ए डिबेट। कुछ इतिहासकार कहते हैं कि ये सेंट्रलाइज्ड स्टेट था, ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्टेट था। कुछ इतिहासकार कहते हैं कि यह सेंट्रलाइज स्टेट नहीं था, है कि नहीं? तो हम क्या राय लें, हम क्या सोचें, किस हद तक यह सेंट्रलाइज था, किस हद तक यह सेंट्रलाइज नहीं था? अगर कोई इतिहासकार कह रहा है कि इट वॉज नॉट ए सेंट्रलाइज्ड स्टेट, इट वॉज नॉट ए ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्टेट, देन व्हाई दे आर सेइंग इट? I hope you are getting it. So for general studies, a simple structure of the Mauryan state is enough. But for history optional, historians' view, historians' analysis of this Mauryan administration is very important and you have to learn it. वहां मैं आपकी मदद करूंगा कि कैसे, किन इतिहासकारों को हम किन किन टॉपिक पे लिखेंगे, कैसे हम अपने आंसर्स को हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल के आंसर के रूप में प्रस्तुत करेंगे. दिस इज एन इंपॉर्टेंट आर्ट एंड आई वुड बी गोइंग टू, यू कैन से, आई विल हेल्प यू इन दिस कॉन्टेक्स्ट. इज इट फाइन नाउ? डन. तो इससे पहले कि हम लोग पार्ट 2 में आए, नेचर क्या था मौर्यन स्टेट का, उस पर आए, हम लोग पहले समझते हैं कि सिंपल मौर्यन स्टेट का स्ट्रक्चर क्या था. समझा जाए? ओके. तो हम लोग इन जनरल पहले समझते हैं कि मौर्यन स्टेट का स्ट्रक्चर कैसा था. ठीक है. मौर्यन स्टेट में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट बात यह थी कि किंग सबसे पावरफुल थे, फाउंटेन हेड रूलर. आर यू गेटिंग इट? एंड कौटिल्य in his Saptanga theory of state considered king as स्वामिन. किंग को क्या बोला अर्थशास्त्र में? स्वामिन. आपने नाम सुना है इस शब्द का, स्वामिन मतलब मास्टर, स्वामी. सो इन अर्थशास्त्र ruler was called Swami. Fine. So Swami term can tell you the power and position of king. Is this fine? Right? So in Mauryan administration बॉस कौन होते थे, सेंटर में कौन होते थे, फाइनल अथॉरिटी कौन होते थे? किंग. यह बात क्लियर है कि मौर्यन सिस्टम में मोनार्की एक्चुअली डोमिनेटेड. एक्चुअली इन द मौर्यन पीरियड देयर वाज एन एंड ऑफ गन संघास. मोनार्की सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट हो गई, रूलर सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट हो गए. बट ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, अर्थशास्त्र डिड नॉट स्टैंड फॉर रॉयल एब्सोल्यूटिज्म. यस, किंग वॉज पावरफुल बट देयर वॉज नो एब्सोल्यूटिज्म. मेरी बात ये समझ रहे हैं कि नहीं समझ रहे हैं? मैं आपको कोशिश कर रहा हूं बताने की कि राजा इंपॉर्टेंट हो गए थे, रूलर बिकेम इंपॉर्टेंट, रूलर वॉज ऑल पावरफुल, बट रूलर वॉज नॉट बिहेविंग लाइक एब्सोल्यूट रूलर. निरंकुश रूलर की तरह वो बिहेव नहीं करते थे. कौटिल्य ने कहा कि राजा को कुछ ड्यूटीज है, राजा का कुछ कार्य है और राजा को वो काम करना पड़ेगा. राजा को मंत्री परिषद से एडवाइस लेनी पड़ेगी, असिस्टेंस लेना पड़ेगा. तो याद रखना है, इन द अर्थशास्त्र मॉडल ऑफ स्टेट रूलर इज पावरफुल बट रूलर इज नॉट एन एब्सोल्यूट रूलर. देयर वाज नो एब्सोल्यूटिज्म इन दैट सेंस. फाइन. ये बात समझ में आनी चाहिए, ये बात बिल्कुल जरूरी है कि मौर्यन स्टेट में राजा पावरफुल है लेकिन एब्सोल्यूट रूलर की तरह बिहेव नहीं करना है उसको. कौन कह रहा है? कौटिल्य. इन द सप्तांगा थियरी ऑफ स्टेट, सप्तांगा थियरी का मतलब होता है, कौटिल्य ने कहा कि स्टेट के 7 अंग होते हैं. कौन कौन 7 अंग होते हैं? पहला स्वामिन, दूसरा अमात्य, तीसरा जनपद, चौथा दुर्ग, पांचवा मित्र फ्रेंड, छठा राइट दंड आर्मी और सातवां कोस ट्रेजरी. सप्तांग, 7 अंग, और इन सारे अंगों में सबसे पावरफुल कौन? तो किंग, स्वामिन। Therefore, in the Arthashastra model of state, ruler is the most important player, final authority. Fine. But he should not behave like an absolute ruler. उनको assistance लेनी होगी किसकी? Ministers की, bureaucrat की. Fine. So, this point is clear. I hope I made this point very clear that in the Mauryan state, ruler is very powerful. और किंग को क्या बोलते हैं? स्वामिन। ये बात बिल्कुल दिमाग में आ गई? ओके। अब राजा जो होता था, ही वॉज असिस्टेड बाय राइट ऑफिशियल्स, right? And of course, some of these officials became ministers. Is it fine? Are you getting my point? राजा को कौन असिस्ट करता था? मिनिस्टर्स या अधिकारी, ऑफिशियल्स. So therefore, it is said that Mauryan state had a bureaucracy. मौर्यन स्टेट के पास एक सिविल सर्विस थी, अगर आधुनिक शब्द यूज किया जाए तो. मौर्यन स्टेट हैड ए ब्यूरोक्रेसी. मौर्यन स्टेट वाज ए ब्यूरोक्रेटिक स्टेट. And we are getting many kind of officials and ministers in the Mauryan state. Different kind of ministers and officials. जैसे हम सुनते हैं तीर्थ के बारे में, तीर्थास. There were 18 tirthas. Then we have idea about adhyakshas. There were around 26 adhyakshas. Then we have idea about mahamatyas. Right? महामात्याज और अमात्याज. ये सारे शब्द के बारे में हम सुनते हैं. ये सारे लोग कौन थे? ये सारे लोग थे ऑफिशियल्स. इन्हीं में से कुछ लोग बनते थे मिनिस्टर्स. ठीक है, दूसरी बात मेरी समझ रहे हैं? क्लियर है? मैंने बताया कि मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज क्या होती थी? मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चीज होती थी राजा का पोस्ट, स्वामिन. सब उसी के इर्द गिर्द घूम रहा है. और उसके बाद उनको असिस्ट करने के लिए वी हैव ब्यूरोक्रेट्स, ऑफिशियल्स, एंड देन आउट ऑफ देम some of them, right, they were considered as ministers. And remember that these officials, they were, employed after training, after a kind of interview. And in Arthashastra, we have a term called Upadha Parikshan. So there was a kind of interview. And they were given salary. There was a range of salary mentioned, Suppose, right, there was a range from 60 panas to 48,000 panas. Range. What is pana? Pana is a coin. In the Mauryan period it was used. I hope you are getting it. So, in Mauryan period, you have a bureaucratic structure. It was hierarchically divided. They were getting salary. They had a fixed law. So in that sense, there was a rule of law. And they were getting training also, Upadha Parikshan also. They were employed after some kind of right, you can say exchange, right, interview, you can call it. तो मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में अभी तक मैंने दो बातें बताई। पहली बात कि मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन की धुरी होती थी, कोर होता था राजा स्वामिन। दूसरी बात मैंने बताई कि मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में एक बहुत बड़ा वर्ग होता था, लंबी चौड़ी लिस्ट मिलती है अधिकारियों की, उनमें से कुछ अधिकारी मिनिस्टर्स बनते थे। And we have a terms, different terms for it, like the tirthas, adhyakshas, amatyas, mahamatyas. What exactly was the relation between these terms is not known. But, right, they were there. And there is a long list. आप देखोगे, there is a long list given related to different adhyakshas. There was Lakshana Adhyaksh, there was Akara Adhyaksh, there was Pautva Adhyaksh. So there is a long list. Fine. And then you will see that after these officials, there was one more department, and this department, if you can erase this part, this department is called, what is called vigilance department, intelligence department, vigilance department. Vigilance department, right? There were many secret agents, Gurha Purusa, secret agents, Gurha Purusa. Then there were two types of intelligence. One was Sanstha, then one was Sanchar. And they were assisting this डिपार्टमेंट इन गैदरिंग इंटेलिजेंस। इसका मतलब मौर्य एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में सारी चीजें कंट्रोल की जाती थी, देखी जाती थी। इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट था जो इन सारे अधिकारियों पर, इन सारे मंत्रियों पर, इन सारे ऑफिसर्स पर नजर रखती थी। मेरी बात समझ रहे हैं? तो मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में राजा है, अधिकारी है, मंत्रीगण है, और साथ में इन सब पर नजर रखने के लिए एक बहुत ही पावरफुल इंटेलिजेंस डिपार्टमेंट है, एस्पाइनेज सिस्टम है। और एक शब्द यूज होता है गूढ़ पुरुष। दे वर द स्पाई, दे वर द सीक्रेट एजेंट्स। एंड देन वी हैव डिफरेंट काइंड ऑफ स्पाइज, लाइक संस्था, लाइक संचार। Then there was a head of this department also. He was very powerful and he was directly reporting to the king. मेरी बात समझ में आ रही है? तो मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का जो एक पार्ट है वो है सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। अगर मैं इसको फिर से दिखाऊं तो मैं कहूंगा कि इन मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन देयर वाज किंग एंड असिस्टेड, यू कैन से king was assisted by what you call central administration, and in central administration we have different kinds of, right, officials, we have different kind of ministers, then we have different kind of, right, secret agents, espionage system, intelligence gathering. And you will see in the central administration we have a separate, you can say, administration for army. Then we have separate judicial system. We have separate, you can say, revenue system. So all these officials were related to army, judicial, revenue system. So in Mauryan administration there was a central administration. And what is the source for this central administration? कहां से हमें पता चलता है कि ये सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कैसे चलता था? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स है अर्थशास्त्र, दूसरा इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स है मेगास्थनीज इंडिका, एंड थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट सोर्स इज मौर्यन और पर्टिकुलरली अशोकन इंस्क्रिप्शन। तीन चीजें मैंने बताई कि मौर्यन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन कैसे चलता था, क्या इसका स्ट्रक्चर था, कैसे पता चला आपको, क्या सोर्स है। पहला सोर्स है अर्थशास्त्र कौटिल्य की, दूसरा स्रोत है मेगास्थनीज का इंडिका एंड अदर ग्रीक अकाउंट्स, एंड द थर्ड सोर्स इज व्हाट यू कॉल अशोकन इंस्क्रिप्शन। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, जब मैं बात करता हूं कि आर्मी भी एडमिनिस्टर्ड थी, तो यह बात हमें पता चलती है मेगास्थनीज से। मेगास्थनीज कहते हैं कि कैसे आर्मी भी एडमिनिस्टर्ड थी, अलग अलग कमिटी था जो उसको एडमिनिस्टर करती थी, सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। अगर मैं कहूं कि जुडिशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन भी था, कैसे पता चला हमें? अर्थशास्त्र टॉक्ड अबाउट जुडिशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। अर्थशास्त्र सजेस्टेड, right, there were two types of court, धर्मस्थ्य and कंटक शोधन। धर्मस्थ्य एंड कंटक शोधन। धर्मस्थ्य था सिविल कोर्ट एंड कंटक शोधन वाज द क्रिमिनल कोर्ट। तो अर्थशास्त्र बताती है। देन व्हेन वी से रेवेन्यू एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, अर्थशास्त्र गिव्स अस ऑल दोज ऑफिशियल्स लाइक सन्निधाता, सबका नाम बताता है कि कैसे रेवेन्यू एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन भी चलता था। फाइन, सो वी हैव ए प्रॉपर सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। यहां तक बात समझ में आ रही है? एक आइडिया डेवलप हो रहा है, दिमाग में एक स्ट्रक्चर डेवलप हो रहा है कि नहीं? नाउ आफ्टर दिस सेंट्रल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन देयर वाज प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन। Provincial administration. State was divided into different provinces called chakra. कुछ सोर्सेस कहते हैं कि 4 प्रोविंस थे, कुछ कहते हैं कि 5 प्रोविंस थे। So provinces were actually there. So there were different provinces like this. So probably there were 4 provinces. There was Eastern province, there was Western province, then there was, you can say, Northern province, right? Then there was Central province. So this kind of province was there in the Mauryan system, and these administration, right, in the Mauryan administration we call it chakra. Chakra 1, chakra 2, chakra 3, like chakra 4. So they were chakra, they were provinces. Fine. So in Mauryan administration, if I can present, there was king, then there was central administration, then there was provincial administration. Provincial administration. And there were mainly 4 provinces. There were mainly 4 provinces. We are calling it chakra. We are getting the evidence of capital of these chakras. कौन होते थे हेड इन प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के? किसके अंदर में ये होता था? प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन होता था कुमार के अंडर में, युवराज के अंदर में, रॉयल फैमिली, राइट, कुमार के अंदर में ये प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन होता था। कुमार, प्रिंस, एक तरह से ट्रेनिंग ग्राउंड होता था उनके लिए। अगर राजा का 4 बेटा है तो एक बेटा एक प्रोविंस का हेड, दूसरा दूसरे का, एंड इवन किंग कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट हु इज मोर कैपेबल। आई होप यू आर गेटिंग माई पॉइंट। सो प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, हु वाज द हेड? Provincial administration was headed by Kumar or Aryaputra, and he was assisted by some officials. Then in provincial administration, provinces were also divided into district. Provinces were also divided into district. What was the term for district? Ahar or Visaya. And then in district also we have different kind of officials. different kind of officials. क्या term use होता है district के लिए? आहार और विषय. And then in districts also we have different kind of officials. Like we have Pradeshika, we have Rajuka, right? We have Yukta, and most important official in district was Rajuka. Asoka praised this Rajuka. So there were different officials in district level. Fine. And then district was also divided, right, into different villages. And in these villages also there was an official called Gramika. Different officials called Gramika. And one more thing, there was some officials at intermediate level, right, intermediate level, like the Gopa, Asthanika. So here also there were some officials at intermediate level. Fine. So what you can remember, that structure of Mauryan administration, can you see the structure? You have king, you have central administration, bureaucrat, you have provincial administration, you have provincial administration, you have district administration, and then in village also there was official. And always remember, there were officials, right, in between village and district. Fine. Are you getting this structure? Are you comfortable with this structure? I just gave you an outline of this structure. Fine. Just write these basic point, and then we will tell you what exactly was the nature of Mauryan administration. What we will do, we will try to understand this topic, and then we will write also some point for your ready-made notes. Otherwise, it is not at all relevant. Fine. So we can add point 1. Heading would be structure of Mauryan administration. Structure of Mauryan administration. Point 1 would be that Mauryan Empire had an elaborate and organized administrative structure. फाइन. ठीक है. पहला पॉइंट क्या होगा? Mauryan Empire had an organized and elaborate administrative structure. Fine. Number 2, we can add, number 2 point, we can add that the king was the fountainhead, core of the administration. King was the fountainhead or the core of the administration. King was the fountainhead or the core of the administration, and he had primacy. Ruler had primacy among the 7 components of 7 limbs. Ruler had primacy among the 7 components of 7 limbs, 7 components of 7 limb, Saptanga, mentioned by Arthashastra. Fine. So he had primacy, and in the Saptanga theory of state, king was called Swami. Fine. But underline this point, but Kautilya did not, Kautilya did not stand, Kautilya did not stand for royal absolutism. Kautilya did not stand for royal absolutism. This point is very, very important. Kautilya visualized a powerful king, but he did not stand for royal absolutism. Fine. We can add next point. Ruler was assisted by, next point, ruler was assisted by a well organized bureaucracy. Well organized bureaucracy. Ruler was assisted by a well organized bureaucracy. Well organized bureaucracy. And in this context, Mauryan state was a bureaucratic state. Mauryan state was a bureaucratic state. Mauryan state was a bureaucratic state. ठीक है? And in the same point you can mention that sources related to Mauryan period, mentioned some words related to bureaucracy, For example, they mentioned, you can write 18 tirthas. So what is tirtha? A kind of bureaucracy. They mentioned around 26 or 27 adhyakshas. 26 or 27 adhyakshas. Fine. Then they also mentioned different terms like amatyas. So all these terms, and you know there is a list given in our textbook related to 18 tirthas, related to these adhyakshas, right? So these terms were related to bureaucracy. This you can remember. Fine. So now you have king, then you have bureaucracy. Then we can add in central administration, we have also evidence related to intelligence department, right? Army department, and even revenue department. Fine. And I will be elaborating later how army department, how revenue department, हम अलग अलग इन सारे चीज को भी देखेंगे. Fine. So don't think that, right, we will not go for details about all these things. So completely you can say, right, we would be, elaborating what exactly was the revenue department, what exactly, how, you can say, how army was organized, what exactly was the administration of, you can say, judiciary, even judicial department. We are also getting evidence of judicial department. Fine. Then next part we can discuss, we can mention provincial administration. We can add Mauryan administration was also known for provincial administration. Mauryan administration was also known for provincial administration. Provincial administration. What you can write in provincial administration? हम provincial administration में क्या लिख सकते हैं? We can mention that the Mauryan Empire was divided. The Mauryan Empire was divided. Mauryan Empire was divided into mainly 4 provinces. Mainly 4 provinces. 4 province थे. Mainly 4 provinces. Some historians say 5, some historians say 4. So mainly 4 provinces. And their capitals were Taxila, number 1, Taxila, Taxila, Taxila. It was the capital of northern province, Taxila. Then there was Ujjain, capital of one province, Ujjain, Uggain, Ujjain. Then third, Suvarnagiri, capital of third province, Suvarnagiri. Suvarnagiri, capital of third province. And then one more province was there probably, because we are getting the capital of fourth province was Tosali, 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 Tosali. तो 4 प्रोविंस थे. कभी कभार 5 भी लिखते हैं, लेकिन 4 तो डेफिनेट थे. We are getting the capital of these 4 province. And who was the administrator of these province? क्या था, क्या बताया था? Administrator, the head of these province was Kumar, 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 a member of royal family. Kumar, a member of royal family. Kumar, a member of royal family. Fine. यहां तक बात समझ में आ रही है? There was king, there was central administration, there was provincial administration. What would be the next thing? We can add provinces were divided into district. Next point. Provinces were divided into district. Provinces were divided into district. Provinces were divided into district. And in district, we have 3 main officials. In district, we have 3 main officials. One was Pradeshika, 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 Pradeshika. Second official was Rajuka, 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 very important, Rajuka. Ashoka praised Rajuka in his inscription. Rajuka, Rajuka, Rajuka. And one more official in district was Yukta, Yukta, Yukta. If you can remember these terms, it is easy to get better marks. Fine. So you have these officials in district level. And then, अब क्या होगा? District was divided into what? बोलो, district was divided into villages. We can add districts were divided into villages. Districts were divided into villages. And in village, we have a official called Gramika. 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 And there was some intermediary level officers also. Intermediary level officer, this is very important, you have to mention it. Intermediary level officer मतलब क्या, district और village के बीच में intermediary level officers were also there. You have Gopa, you have Asthanika, you have Gopa, you have Asthanika. So these officials were important, Gopa and Asthanika in intermediary level. And then one more important feature in Mauryan administration, इसको भी नहीं भूलना है हमारे आंसर में, we have to deal with it separately. We are calling it municipal administration. Municipal administration. Megasthenes said that some of the cities had a separate administration, like Patliputra, like Polybrotha. Separate administration, we are calling it municipal administration, and it was administered by 6 committees. 6 committees. Fine. So we have to remember that there was municipal administration also, and municipal administration is the most important feature of Mauryan administration. And who talked about municipal administration in detail? Megasthenes. Arthashastra also talked about Nagarika, but mainly the detail of municipal administration by Megasthenes. Fine. So you are getting the structure of Mauryan administration: king, central administration, provincial administration, you have municipal administration, district administration, and administration at village level. So this is a structure of Mauryan, you can say, administration. But for our optional, only this is not sufficient. This is base, but we have to go beyond it. What would be that? We will discuss the next part of this topic called nature of Mauryan administration. Nature of Mauryan administration. In most of the topic we will be adding this. It's a debatable topic. Debatable topic. Debate related. Debate related topic. Fine. And in our optional, this should be the core. This should be the real challenge in most of the areas. How we are using historian's point of view, right? And then only we can get good marks. The basic structure would be there, but we have to add historian's point of view. So remember, Mauryan administration nature is a debatable area, and the first view regarding the nature is by Romila Thapar. Romila Thapar. And Romila Thapar considered Mauryan state as centralized state. So what was the view? What was the approach of Romila Thapar initially? That it was a centralized state, centralized bureaucratic state. Fine. But later you will see there was some objection, some you can say criticism of this kind of view, Romila Thapar's view. And you will see Gerard Fussman's second view, Gerard Fussman, Fussman, Gerard Fussman in 1980s questioned this view. Gerard Fussman, Fussman, questioned this view, challenged this view. What kind of challenge? Challenge was regarding the centralization model. Challenged this view. And he said, he argued that given the extent of the empire, given the spread of the empire, or given the communication network of that period, उस जमाने में जो empire इतना बड़ा था, उस जमाने में जो कम्युनिकेशन नेटवर्क था, उस हिसाब से हम कतई नहीं कह सकते, बिल्कुल नहीं कह सकते कि ये सेंट्रलाइज्ड स्टेट था, राइट? हो ही नहीं सकता. फुसमैन ने इसको चैलेंज किया. And then you will see again third view, Romila Thapar reconsidered view, right? Romila Thapar reconsidered, right, view, and she said that no, complete centralization was possibly, right, not a fact. And then she started dividing the Mauryan Empire into three, areas. What she called metropolitan area, then core area, and then peripheral areas. She said, okay, in the core area, in the metropolitan area, some kind of centralization, but in the peripheral areas, centralization was not possible, right? So, Romila Thapar changed, right, her approach in late 1980s, and now, right, you can say based on her analysis, the fourth view, modern historians approach, modern view, fourth view, next view is what? According to modern historian, what we can mention as a conclusion, we can write that it is not necessary to label the Mauryan Empire as centralized or decentralized. What modern historian suggested? In modern historian, you can consider Upinder Singh also. I hope you are aware. Upinder Singh is the most important, right, modern historian right now. So you will see, according to Upinder Singh or according to modern historians, right, it is not necessary to label the Mauryan state as centralized or decentralized. And we can add, the empire must have some elements of centralized control, but given its extent, there must also have been a significant amount of delegation of authority. There must also have been a significant amount of delegation of authority to functionaries at provincial level, at district level, and at village level. Fine. So what would be our conclusion in this kind of debate? ना तो ये totally centralized state था, ना ये totally decentralized state था. कुछ amount of centralization भी रहा होगा और कुछ amount of decentralization भी पक्का होगा, क्योंकि इतनी बड़ी ये empire थी, इतनी लंबी चौड़ी ये empire थी, सब कॉन्टिनेंटल empire थी. तो डेलीगेशन जरूर हुआ होगा अथॉरिटी का, राइट, एट डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल, एट प्रोविंशियल लेवल एंड एट विलेज लेवल. एंड later they said, as in the nature of Mauryan state, that during the period of Ashoka, it acquired a new character. In the period of Ashoka, what was the character? It had a welfare orientation. It actually acquired the character of what is called paternal despotism. So finally, during the period of Ashoka, it acquired the character of paternal despotism. Gradually it started becoming what is called, right, welfare, right, state. We have still, right, some objection regarding the use of this kind of term, but during the Ashoka period, you will see that it started becoming what is called paternal despotism, because Ashoka said, all men are my children. So now Mauryan state represented a centralized state in the core mainly, and of course there was some delegation of authority at district level, provincial level, and even at village level. But in Ashoka period, it acquired the character of paternal despotism. They were looking after their subject like father, right? You can say like parents. So this was the beauty of this ancient empire called Mauryan Empire. तो आशा करता हूं कि इस टॉपिक को समझने में आपको मदद मिली होगी और आप ये समझ गए होंगे कि हिस्ट्री ऑप्शनल में एग्जैक्टली हाउ वी शुड अप्रोच. क्या हम करने वाले हैं? वी विल ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड द बेसिक पॉइंट and then we will go for some views regarding historian on that topic to understand it in a better manner. Fine. So thanks a lot, and we will continue this journey right in January. Thanks a lot.